They just they're just the woke right. So Trump came in and he replaced the woke left with the woke right. The woke left used to protect everything was racist to them, and they protected trans and all that stuff, and they just replaced it. So they got rid of that, and everything's now anti-Semitic, and they're trying to pass laws where you can't even economically boycott Israel. It's crazy. It's the BDS movement, which sounds very much like it's a sex thing. It's not.
I thought it was a sex thing the whole time.
No, it's not.
All right, so here we go. Jesus Murphy Sam Squanch. He came up with a really interesting idea. Steph should read these while bouncing on a trampoline. The views would go through the roof. We'll keep that in mind. Thank you, Jesus. Much appreciated. The entire media kept yapping to praise Fauci for 5 years. No kidding. And then they put him on the sexiest man. Gross. Just gross. But when the government shut down gain-of-function research, not a word from anyone from the lamestream media, owned by you-know-who. Savage. Thank you, Savage.
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been.
That's right.
Hey, don't forget. Oh yes. What happened?
I hung out with Lex Friedman last night, did I tell you?
No!
What?
Yeah.
Big screen Kurt.
No. Tell me.
What do you got? Big screen Kurt.
How'd it go,
I just
Kurt?
went to Malice's house. Malice had a party, Michael Malice. So I went and Lex was there, and the QAnon shaman.
Oh.
And the QAnon shaman made a hard push to sell some crypto to me.
Okay.
Really?
Tell me about your interaction with.
Tell
me about your interaction with Lex.
Oh, I liked him. I have to say, he was very likable.
He wasn't.
He really is just like a hard on his sleeve kind of guy. He is like that.
He wasn't upset that we make fun of him, or he pretended he wasn't.
I didn't bring it up. He mentioned people have made fun of him. I go, oh, do they? It's awkward when you meet the guy.
Now he's
like all these other people, dude, that had anybody that's entrenched in like, academic background, entertainment. It's all the same deal, dude. You got to walk them through the 5 stages of grief after you tell them the truth about something.
Look, do you think he genuinely doesn't know about Epstein working for the Mossad? Do you think he genuinely?
No, I think he genuinely doesn't want to think the worst of America.
You think he doesn't know the truth? You think that he doesn't know the truth about the Ukraine war?
Oh, he knows the truth about that.
Yeah, but he doesn't. He'll never tell you. But anyway, so the war with Iran is coming, and not only because of this. I've showed you this before, but they've been planning this since before 9/11. They've been planning all the wars they did. They've done like Libya, Afghanistan, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq. So here it is. Watch this. This is General Wesley Clark, and right after 9/11. He got the 411 on the plan they had already cooked up before 9/11 that they were going to use 9/11 as the excuse to go do, and we only have one country left. Here it is.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, No. He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So,
hey, remember when we went to war with Iraq and Iran won? Do you remember that? Okay.
I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail."
That's actually not the reason. He's going to tell you the real reason.
So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years. starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
So the last one on the list is Iran, and that's the one that Benjamin Netanyahu is going to get us into that war by hook or by crook. And I'm going to show you some more information right now that shows that that's almost inevitable.
Wait,
And
Jimmy, it sounds the way he said it. It sounds almost like they needed a terror attack to happen.
It's almost
and
like
they always need terrorists, and they never want them to go away.
that's why we invented Al Qaeda. And I'm not making that up. Hillary Clinton is the one who said that we invented Al Qaeda. We know why? Because we did. And now Al Qaeda is running Syria for us. We were working with Al Qaeda in Syria. And now the head of Al Qaeda is now the head of Syria. And he doesn't wear his jihad costume anymore. And he wears a blue suit. And he doesn't call himself Jelani anymore. He calls himself, I'm not a terrorist. And
That's a nice thank you for your service, ain't it?
isn't it? Yeah. America decides wars well in advance, just so you know, because it's like a Christmas list. Just get them out of the way. And so here's the first proof that the United States is setting up this negotiation with Iran so that Iran cannot come to a reasonable treaty with us over their nuclear program. This is Witkoff. That's Donald Trump's negotiator with Iran. And here, watch what he says.
Well, the president has been very clear. He wants to solve this conflict diplomatically and with dialogue. And
That's what they say. That's what Trump says. That's what he's saying. They want to settle this with Iran. By the way, I didn't know we had a problem with Iran. I don't have a problem with Iran. Iran never attacked us, never invaded us. Ain't never going to
Let Israel
invade.
fight it out with them if they want to so bad. What's
Right.
the problem? Ain't
This-
my problem.
This is about
good luck, Israel. Best of luck to you.
This is about Israel, and it's all about how Iran can't be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. But
Why?
we can have a nuclear weapon. Israel can have nuclear weapons. Pakistan can have nuclear weapons. China, North Korea can have nuclear weapons. Russia can have. But somehow Iran is a special case. So here's what he says. They want to have a diplomatic solution, but guess what?
he's given all the signals. He's directly sent letters to the supreme leader. I have been dispatched to deliver that message as well, and I've delivered it. But on the other hand, we have one very, very clear red line, and that is enrichment. We cannot allow even 1% of an enrichment capability. We've delivered a proposal to the Iranians that we think addresses some of this without disrespecting them, and so that's important. We want to get to a solution here, and we think that we will be able to. But everything begins from our standpoint, John, with a deal that does not include enrichment. We cannot have that because enrichment enables weaponization, and we will not allow a bomb to get here.
So that
You will.
Yeah.
They have bombs they're going to send there, and there's nothing you could do about them, stupid.
So that is what's called a lie. So they're pretending that they want to negotiate a settlement, but they know that's a non-starter. They know that Iran will never agree to that because they had an enrichment program going under the Barack Obama administration where they had lots of inspectors that would come in and make sure they're not using it to build a nuclear bomb. So they don't want to go that route. They just want to say, you don't get to have a nuclear program. Saudi Arabia gets to have a nuclear program. North Korea, Pakistan, China, Russia, Israel, they all get to have nuclear. And of course us. We're the only ones who ever dropped it. And Michael Tracy says, if anyone suspected that the purpose of this negotiating exercise was to set up an impossible endpoint, humiliating Iranian capitulation, and then when Iran balks, which they're going to, use that as the pretext to bomb Iran. We tried to negotiate first. There's growing evidence that your suspicion is correct, that this is all a pretext. Just like October 7th, that Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu funded Hamas and then allowed them to do that attack on October 7th, withheld their military so they could use that as a pretext to go in and do what they always wanted, which was to wipe out the Palestinians in Gaza, flatten it, and take it over, which is what they're doing. Same thing is happening here. That's exactly what. So they're setting a precondition that they know Iran will never agree to. And so then they could use that, just as he said, hey, we tried to negotiate, And so that's what's happening right here. So, hey, good news. The Iran war is back on, ladies and gentlemen. And here Michael Tracy says the use of the phrase red line is conspicuous because the Trump and the GOP still love mocking Obama for drawing a red line with respect to Syria in 2012. I remember that. And then failing to bomb Syria quickly enough. So they're
Let the false flag settle in first, guys.
So they're eager to prove they'll enforce their red lines, unlike the weakling Democrats. So that's why they're using the term red line, so they can go, look, we're serious about our red lines. And here is Reza Nasri. He says that this is the response to what from Iran, what Witkoff just said. Their response is these statements are completely detached from reality of the negotiations. Uranium enrichment in Iran will continue. If they are genuinely interested in ensuring that no nuclear weapon is being produced, we are ready to cooperate with that, just like they did under Barack Obama. And we'll have international people come in, inspectors come in and make sure we're not using it for a nuclear weapon. In fact, the Ayatollah doesn't want that. He stated he doesn't want a nuclear weapon, and he's against it, in fact. I think God religious.
They don't need them. No one can use them. This is such a pageant about nuclear weapons. You can't use them or you're guilty of using them. They probably have better weapons that they know never to reveal they have so that they can use them.
They have hypersonic missiles in Iran, which we don't even possess. So if they are genuine, this is the Iran response. If they are genuinely interested in ensuring that no nuclear weapon is being produced, we are ready to cooperate with that. If their demands are unrealistic, it is only natural that they will not be met. So they're creating conditions that they know won't be met, so then they can go, we had to bomb them because we had to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. And that's the guy who said this. It's the foreign minister of Iran, this guy Abbas Araghchi. And so here's what Alan Mizrahi has to say about it. He says, I'm raising my probability estimate for the U.S.-Iran war to above 90% again, and it may happen very soon. Something very meaningful happened in the last 10 days or so. It looks to me like Trump was given the impression that he was free to sign a deal with Iran, but then all at once, around the Gulf Circus, where he was just at in Saudi Arabia, someone stepped in and made it clear to Trump that no deal, you cannot sign a deal with Iran, period. And that someone, probably Benjamin Netanyahu. The U.S. is now back to the no enrichment line, which is a non-starter for Iran. As the whole world knows, Iran made it clear all along. Iran has made that clear. Hey, you know what else? When he said that they can't even have 1% enrichment, you know what else is less than 1%? Our chances of winning a war with Iran, less than 1%. So Witkoff is like negotiating with Iran what Chris Christie is to a juicer. Total strangers. He goes on, it is frighteningly obvious that the Trump White House is completely run by Israel and the AIPAC lobby. I don't like to call it the Jewish lobby. I call it the Israel lobby. And that they are taking Americans to a historic disaster in a war with Iran that will destroy the Middle East, wreck world economy, make an end to Israel, and send the U.S. into a spiraling social and economic crisis of unimaginable proportions. Iranian voices are beginning to reflect this understanding, namely that the country they built is about to be pummeled, maybe using atomic weapons as well. Iranian voices are beginning to reflect this understanding. Okay, weird. The chances that the U.S.-Iran deal are virtually non-existent at this stage. The chances for a U.S.-Iran deal are virtually non-existent at this stage, and I suspect that the last Israeli extermination push in Gaza was partially made to pressure the Trump administration on Iran. Israel is ending the world as we know it. Israel is doing it. Israel.
He's done it again! That is a fact! You fucking little bastard! He's done it again! You dirty bastard! You've done it again!
So here is more proof that the deal with Iran is not going. They're not going to reach a deal with Iran, and the United States is going to initiate a war. And don't be surprised if there's a what they call a false flag, meaning, oh, it looked like Iran attacked us first. That is going to be a false flag. They might attack a military base or an installation or Israel, but that will have been done by Israel or the CIA or the Mossad or all of them. And it might even be here in the United States. And because that would really, just like 9/11, it got real, people were really thirsty, bloodthirsty for revenge after 9/11, which is why we were allowed to do what we did in Iraq, even though Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11. So right here, Hamas says, so Witkoff personally promised Hamas to lift the Gaza blockade in exchange for Eden Alexander. You know how when Trump got the last remaining American hostage, prisoner of war, when he got him released, the reason why Hamas agreed to that was because Witkoff promised Hamas that we're going to lift the Gaza blockade. We're going to give you humanitarian aid. We're going to give you medicine, food, and water. Well, guess what? They broke it. They broke that. A senior Hamas official told DropSite that the group received a direct commitment from Donald Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, that 2 days after the release of the U.S. citizen and Israeli soldier, Eden Alexander, the Trump administration would compel Israel to lift the Gaza blockade and allow humanitarian aid to enter the territory. Witkoff, according to the official, also promised that Trump would make a public call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and for negotiations aimed at achieving a permanent ceasefire. It was a deal, said Bassam Naim, a member of Hamas's political bureau who has previously engaged in direct talks with U.S. officials. He said the pledge was made by Witkoff himself. In an interview with DropSite, Naim said the agreement was if we release Alexander, Trump will speak out thanking Hamas for its gesture, obliging Israel on the second day to open the borders and allow aid to come into Gaza. And Trump would call for an immediate ceasefire and to go for negotiations to end the Israeli-Hamas war. He did nothing of this. They didn't violate the deal. They threw it in the trash. The White House did not respond for... So now what's happening is that Netanyahu is allowing limited humanitarian aid. So they could say, look, we were doing it, but they're not. And so that's, again, another pretext for them to do more war on Hamas and Iran. So this is what Propaganda and Company tweeted out. War with Iran is all but guaranteed unless Iran decides to capitulate on every single demand that the United States makes. Why? Because Witkoff has made a serious mistake. Hamas revealed that Witkoff himself negotiated the deal with them directly to free Eden Alexander in exchange for a restart to negotiations and for the entry of aid. After receiving Eden, Witkoff reneged on that. This was a major mistake by Witkoff because the more important negotiations for both he and America are the nuclear deal talks with Iran. By reneging on the deal with Hamas, Witkoff exposed himself as a bald-faced liar. There is simply no way around that Iran will trust a single word. There is simply no way now that Iran will trust a single word that Witkoff says. So they know Witkoff isn't going to be negotiating in good faith. So Witkoff has already killed the Iran negotiation deal by going back on the deal he made with Hamas. The Ayatollah has warned Iran that America cannot be trusted and that Witkoff has just validated and confirmed that by lying to Hamas on something as basic as a renewed attempt to discuss a ceasefire and the entry of food and medicine to a besieged people. The reason why this is important is not just because it reveals how untrustworthy Witkoff and the Americans are during negotiations. Many people already knew that and weren't surprised, but some speculate that the entire point of the negotiations with Iran was to have had them drop their guard so the Americans could regain the element of surprise before launching an all-out covert war and bombing run to overthrow the government and destroy the nuclear facilities. By lying to Hamas, Witkoff blew his cover and has given Iran confidence in their understanding of Americans' true intent regarding the negotiations. What happens next? Most likely a series of back-and-forth negotiations where goalposts move and the same old items are repeatedly agreed to, such as reducing uranium enrichment and allowing technical teams to discuss execution. In my opinion, these negotiations are really just an attempt to save face and tell the American public that the Trump administration tried what it could do to avoid a war, but the Iranians were just too evil and stupid to choose peace. The average uninformed fan dueling gambling, fantasy football, and Pokemon playing American will be too distracted to care or to protest. The war is pretty much already underway, as reported by Ken Klippenstein in his 3-part article series about the Trump war plan for Iran and Yemen. I just returned from a trip to Tehran, and after speaking to some locals, I can tell you that they also believe the war has already started. In fact, they believe it started a year ago when Raisi mysteriously died in a helicopter crash. Now, that was the president, Ibrahim Raisi, died in May of 2024 in a helicopter crash while returning from a dam inauguration near the Azerbaijan border. So, in fact, they believe that he was actually assassinated.
Oh, you don't say.
They also believe, so that's the president of, they also believe that the random explosion and fires taking place, like the one recently at Bandar Abbas, are covert attacks on Iran to disrupt the country. While Iran has everything it needs from energy to water to food, people still feel the pressure of sanctions, and you can really feel the cultural divide, especially in the city. It's the divide that the Zionists hope to exploit in their effort to blitzkrieg Iran and upend their government. Iran is stronger than it appears despite the recent display of weakness, so we will see what happens. Just don't be fooled by Witkoff any longer. The cat is out of the bag. Witkoff is Israel first, just like Trump. So here is, Trump said he wants to use power for peace. He's lying. And that is the Imam, Iran's supreme leader. He's saying that Trump said he wants to use power for peace. He's lying. And I have to agree with him.
Maybe he's not lying, but he literally doesn't have the power because our government's fake and controlled by sources that you don't get to vote for ever.
Yeah. So they're Israel first. And that means, so Trump, his whole attraction to MAGA was that he wanted to get us out of these wars in the Middle East. He wanted to bring our troops home, end these wars, invest that money back in the United States. But Trump, just like Witkoff, just like the all American politicians, are puppet to Netanyahu and AIPAC, the Israel lobby. And so that's why there's going to, it seems like over a 90% chance that there's going to be a war with Iran, and that Trump is going to go down as a horrible president because he went back on his own word but he's going to try and blame it on Iran. And of course and as soon as a war starts, the media is going to rally around Donald Trump because he's doing the bidding of the military-industrial complex and of Israel. And so then they're going to stop criticizing him. They're not going to criticize him over his war for Iran. That's what's going. So he doesn't face any opposition. The Congress wants to go to war with Iran. Witkoff wants to go to Iran. But most importantly, Benjamin Netanyahu wants war with Iran. And that's why we're going to go to war with Iran. And it couldn't be any clearer what's going to happen. Anything you want to say about this, Kurt?
I'm waiting to see how many people fall for it this time. Because honestly, God, the next fake ass terror attack, if you still fall for that, you were the biggest chump in the world.
I agree. If you fall for the next terrorist attack, it will most certainly be a false flag, and it will be used so we could go to war. And then Trump is going to say, hey, we tried to negotiate with them, and we cannot allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I don't know why. We allowed Israel to have a nuclear weapon. North Korea has a nuclear weapon. Pakistan gets to have nuclear weapons. Does India have nuclear weapons? I'm pretty sure India. So everybody has nuclear weapons, but somehow it's extra bad if Iran gets one. So
They used to say it back in the day when Christopher Hitchens was alive, and the whole idea is Iran's so crazy, they'll just shoot it at Israel immediately. That was the big propaganda.
Yeah.
That was in a bunch of movies. Meanwhile, Israel officially doesn't have nuclear weapons. They
officially,
stole them, lied about it, gave them to South Africa because they really support apartheid. It's just unbelievable that these maniacs are allowed to have a nuke, and I'm supposed to give a rat's ass about Iran having a power source.
and so if you fall for the war in Iran, you're a sucker and a dupe. But I don't believe most of MAGA will fall for it. I know Marjorie Taylor Greene, even when Trump was bombing Yemen, tweeted out, nobody voted for this. Nobody voted for this. So nobody did vote for this. But you're going to get it anyway. Just like nobody voted for a war with Iraq. Nobody voted for us to occupy Afghanistan for 20 years. Nobody voted for us to overthrow Libya. Nobody voted for us to overthrow Syria. And now Al-Qaeda is running it. Just like all of that, nobody voted for any of this, but you're getting it anyway because Trump is not America first. He's Israel first. He's not MAGA. He's MIGA. That is make Israel great again. And so this is all about the greater Israel project. That's what this is all about. And don't fall for it. And the MAGA people I know, the MAGA people who come to my show, the lefties that come to my show, they're not going to fall for it. I'm not going to fall for it. We'll see how the politicians stand up. If Rand Paul stands up, if Marjorie Taylor Greene stands up, who else? Oh, of course, Massey will stand up against this, right? But that's not enough. What we need is grassroots people to stand up and not fall for it because the media is going to be 100% on board for a war with Iran. Just like they were 100% on board with the war with Iraq, 100% on board with the war with Afghanistan, Libya, 100% on board with the war with Ukraine, 100% on board with the war in Syria. They're 100% on board. They're all for it. And so Trump won't have any meaningful opposition against this, and there's everything for him to go for it, except the MAGA base to revolt against it. So fingers crossed you do that. Trump is proving, once again, Witkoff certainly is proving he's MIGA, not MAGA, and that's bad for the United States. Over to Steph.